Hello everybody, John Phillips here, Mansfield University, and today I'd like to show you how to set up a Windows server that you can use as a developer machine on Amazon Web Services. And so I already have an Amazon account. I'm going to sign into my console and need to log in. And then I have set up third factor authentication. And I need to type that number in. Off of my smartphone. And so I have that. I'll sign in now. And now here I am on the Amazon Web Services control panel. And so what we're going to do is we're going to set up a EC2 instance. So under Compute, choose EC2. Okay, and I already have several instances, but I'll go ahead and run through creating a new one. But if you click on Instances, you can see what instances you already have, if you do have some. And I'm going to choose Launch Instance. So this is going to be a Windows server, and you have lots of different Windows servers to choose from. But I'm just going to take this Windows Server 2016 Base Edition. Select that one. And really, you need to run it as probably at least a T2 medium with 4 gigabytes of RAM. You could run it larger. I kind of like this C4 extra large with 7.5 gig of RAM. Let's just go ahead with the medium size for now. And note this will cost you some of your credits. Hopefully you have a lot of credits when you signed up for the account that you received. Or if you're just paying for this, I mean, we're not talking a lot of money, you know, just a few cents. But keep in mind it does cost something. So we'll configure our instance, and all of this is okay, except if this is going to be, if you're just experimenting and are going to terminate this right away, then you don't need to check this. But if you're going to keep this instance around for a while, then you want to choose Protect Against Accidental Termination. Okay, we'll add storage. And so we'll just leave it at 30 gigabytes, but if you think you're going to be adding a lot of stuff, you might change it to 40 or 50 gigabytes. Add tags, and for the tag, I like to set the name. And I'll just click name, and then the value I usually give it is the date. So that's my date right now, and then what it is. So it's a Windows dev server. Okay, security group. If you already have an existing security group because you've done this process several times, you can choose that. But if this is your first time, you can create a new security group. You'll need for Windows to set, for a Windows server that we're going to connect to, set RDP as the connection type. And you can connect to this from a Mac OS X machine or from another Windows machine. But you don't want to leave it set to all zeros. Because that you're just going to be under attack within a few minutes, people trying to hack into your system. What you want to do is change this to my IP, and if your IP changes because your home modem reboots, your home system reboots, then you could just come back to this control panel and set it again to the current version. So home IP or RDP, Remote Desktop Protocol. And then if you're on the MU campus, you probably want to set up a rule, and so go down to RDP that covers all of the computers on the Mansfield University campus, and they all start with 157.62 for the IP address, and then choose /16. right, so we could add that rule. And we could add other things, like if you were going to also run a web server, things like that, you'd have to open up some additional ports. But we're just going to use this as a development server. And so that's good enough. We'll go ahead and hit launch. Now it says it wants you to have a key. And if you've already done this, you can just select an existing key. That's what I would normally do. But I'll assume this is your first time. So then choose create a new key pair. Give it a name. And I'll say Windows Dev key. And then you have to download it, because if you don't do this step, you won't be able to connect to your server at all. Okay, so I need to pick a place to save this, and maybe I'll just leave it in my downloads folder. It'd probably be better to find a better place to put it, but for now I'll just create an AWS folder, and so just put it somewhere you can find it real easily. Save that, and then we could go ahead and launch. Okay, view instances, and it's going to take it maybe 5 minutes to launch and set up Windows for you this first time. And so I'm going to pause this video. Go ahead and pause it until your instance is all the way up and running. Okay, so I'm going to pause. Okay, on the control panel it shows we're running and it's done a couple of checks. And so let's see if we can get this working. So right click on your Windows Dev server and choose Connect. And that brings up this window, and we want to get the password for this. So we'll say get password, and then it says choose file. This is where we just downloaded our private key file to. So I'm going to say choose file, and I think this one we had over in the downloads folder, AWS, and there it is. So I'm going to open that up, and now you need to say decrypt password. Okay, and then it gives you a password that you can copy with Control-C after you highlight it. And now we can connect using remote desktop. So you can go to your little search icon and say remote, or if you're on a Mac OS X machine, you can download Microsoft Remote Desktop from the Apple Store. All right, so let me close some of those windows, and okay, get this guy back. The other thing we need is this IP address, so I should have copied this first, and then get back to remote desktop and paste this in. And we can go show options, and here you can set how big you want the display to be. So if you want it full screen, or if you just want it to be part of your screen. So I'll make it a little bit smaller. Normally I'd make it full screen, but just to help with this video, I'll make it a little bit smaller. And highest quality color, and we can display the connection bar. And you have some other settings you can take a look at there. Okay, the username is admin, and let's see if we can connect. Password, that's what we need to copy over here. Sorry about that. Get Windows password, or there it is. I had to go through this all over again. It'll be the same password. All right, back here, paste that in, remember me, okay. Ooh, that's not right. Sorry about that. Let's try administrator. Paste the password, Control V, as in Violet. There we go. And so we want to say, okay, don't ask me this again, and yes. And it is, if all is going well, you'll see it giving some messages, and it's connecting now to our Windows Server computer, which gives us a remote desktop that we can work on. And I'll just say, it doesn't matter what you say there, I'll just say no. So a little bit of my screen's chopped off, but if you made your screen full size, you wouldn't have that problem. There, it's come back a little bit better. Now you have a little manual that you can read, Windows Guide for AWS. That could give you some more information. But the next step is a little bit tricky. If you launch Internet Explorer and start trying to download things, it's going to give you all sorts of security warnings, and it's not set up quite like we need it now. I mean, it's set up good to be a server, but not really good to be a developer workstation, which is what we want to use this for right now. So here's what you need to do. Here's the trick. Go to the Start menu, and then go to Server Manager. And then go to Local Server, i.e. Internet Explorer Enhanced Security Configuration. Click on the word On and change that to Off for both administrators and users. And then click OK. Refresh the settings. There it goes. It's off now. All right. And so we'll basically get out of this tool, the lower little X. We can close that now. And then launch Internet Explorer. All right, and we can turn that on if we want to, or not, either way. Okay, so go to Tools, and let's see, we want to go down to Internet Options, Security tab, and then Enable Protected Mode. We want to uncheck that. And then I'm also going to drag the bar down so that it reduces security slightly. So we'll apply that. It says it'll put your computer at risk, but once again, we're not really using it as a server. We're using it as a developer workstation, so that's okay. Then we'll close IE and restart it. Okay, so it says protective mode's turned off. That's great. We don't want it. And now what we're going to do is, you could download all this software individually if you wanted to, but there's a real easy way to get started, and it's called Ninite, Ninite.com. All right, and let me just make this full size. So it'll install and update all your programs at once, and so you can rerun it and to get the latest versions of your software after we do this initial install. But I want Google Chrome, and you pick out whatever you want here. Going through this, I want the Java 8 runtime. Let's see, 7-zip for unzipping. And what else? If you wanted a Microsoft Office equivalent, you could get OpenOffice or LibreOffice. You could download JDK x64 8, but we're going to do it a different way, so I'll show you that in a minute. But we do want WinSCP and PuTTY, so get both of those. Visual Studio Code's an excellent programmer's text editor for things like Python, PHP. Notepad++ is kind of maybe a little bit simpler, so I'll just get that one in case we need a good text editor. And what else? Oh, if I were setting this up to actually use other than just demonstrate, I'd probably download Dropbox to keep a backup of any of my programs that I write. All right, click on the Get Your Ninite. And like I say, feel free to select other things there if you want. And you can save it. I'll just go ahead and run it straight away. Now keep in mind, everything we're doing here is on our remote server. It's not on our local Windows machine. And this is great because once we get this set up, you can access it from a Chromebook. You can access it from your Apple machine. And it's as if you're sitting down to a regular Windows developer computer, but you're accessing it all remotely. So it gives you an awful lot of flexibility. Well, I'm going to pause again until all of this finishes installing. It's going to take it a few minutes, so take a quick coffee break and then head on back. Okay, it looks like Ninite's finished downloading and installing our software, so we'll close that, close the Ninite screen, and now you should see that you have some new software installed. Okay, so from the Ninite screen, you could have installed Eclipse. I'm going to go ahead and install Netbeans along with the Java Developer Kit. Okay, and so to do that, we'll open Google Chrome and we'll say, okay, let's see, JDK Netbeans bundle. Now you can install all of this separately. The advantage of doing it this way, though, is it'll set your environmental variables, your path for you automatically. So accept license, where Windows x64 is the one we want. So we'll download that. And it's going to take 30 seconds. So once again, I'll pause, unpause after you get that download. Okay, great. So after it finishes downloading, you can come over and click Open or Show in Folder if you want to see where it went to. So there it is in our Downloads folder, and then double click to run this. And so this will, as I said, install both the Java Developer Kit, JDK 8, Update 141, and it'll install Netbeans 8.2. So we'll say yes. Next. So we'll just use the defaults for everything. And I'm not going to have it checked for any updates, but feel free to do that if you want. Once again, I'll pause. This will take a few minutes. Okay, looks like it's finished. I have this screen here. I'm going to uncheck the anonymous usage data. Click Finish. And we should now have Netbeans and Java JDK installed. Now let me try running the command prompt. Command prompt. If I do Java-version, it says that's okay. And Java C, the compiler-version. And so it hasn't set the environmental path for this, but that's okay if we're working only from Netbeans. Otherwise, we'd have to go in and configure that path. Just Google how to do that. It's not that hard. Let me see if this works though. So let's launch Netbeans. And there we have Netbeans, and if you don't want to see that every time, you can get rid of that. Let's try creating a new Java program. File, new project, Java. We also have Java FX and Maven. If you want to create it that way, would be great. I'll just do a simple Java application. And I'll just leave the default settings for everything. Okay, and I just want to have it print hello world, basically. So we'll do a system out.println, and there is a shortcut for that, but I've forgotten it. Boy, you take the summer off and just forget every little thing. Okay, so we just want to print hello world, so we'll save this. And now to run it, you can either on the left side right click and choose run file, or on the window itself you can right click and choose run file. Or if this is your only main method, you could come up here and click the green run button. But normally I might have several different classes with main methods, and so I'll right click and choose run file. That's how I usually do it. And there it prints hello world. So this is working great. Go ahead and exit out of it. So it did compile our Java program and run it. All right, we'll be using some of these other tools in upcoming videos. But for now, that's most of what I wanted to show you for Windows. So you might wonder, okay, how do you get out of this thing? Well, just like usual, come up here, and instead of power down, just go ahead and click sign out. Okay, and then get back into your control panel and select your machine. And so it doesn't keep billing you by the hour, you want to click Actions, Instant State, and Stop. And then when you come back the next day, or when you want to work on this again, get back into your control panel, select your machine, Instant State, Start. And give it a few seconds and it'll start up, and then you can connect using remote desktop. If you're done with this machine and just want it all deleted, choose Terminate. But if you try to do that, if you check that termination protection, it won't let you. And so what you have to do is come back to your machine, choose Actions, Instant Settings, change termination protection, and there you can turn it off, and then you could go back and terminate your machine. Now, even if your machine's not running, it will still cost you a tiny bit of money because it is taking up elastic block storage. And so, this is the one I just created, and so it's charging you for 30 gigabytes as long as you have that machine in existence. Okay, now is there anything else I can show you? I think there's one more thing I wanted to do, and I forgot to do it while that was running. That is still running. Okay, let me get into remote desktop again. Okay, here it is, the 162 machine. That's still all correct. Show options, administrator. Okay, that's good. Connect, and the password. Once again, I don't have the password. Let's see, get password. So this is a big hassle, having to get this password every time and decrypt it. And I mean, you could just save it like this somewhere so you had it handy. And maybe it would have remembered it from remote desktop. Let's just see. It doesn't look like it is. It looks like I gotta save it. One of the options might have saved that for you. Let me just get back into it real quick. So you see, the first time it took a while, but now it comes up very quickly. And what I wanted to do is just change the password. So you come here, click on your little administrator icon, and choose Change Account Settings. And then choose Sign-In Options, Password, change the password, current password, paste that big long one in. And then new password, choose something fairly simple. Probably has to be a certain minimum length unless you go into the administrator thing and change that. Hopefully I'll be able to remember this one. You might want to write it down. Okay, give yourself a little hint possibly. See if it will take that one. Yeah, so it seemed to take it. So next time I can sign in with a much simpler password. And since you have that firewall in place, as long as you set that up correctly, so that it's only your IP address and MU campus IP address, it's been pretty safe. It's going to be hard for somebody to break in, since they would have to have one of those IP addresses. All right, I'll go ahead and log out again. And then I will come back to my control panel and choose my server, and this time I will go ahead and stop it. Now there is a way to make it so that if you forget to stop it and it like has no activity for 15 minutes or whatever time period you set, you could have it automatically shut down. And so I'll try to put together a video in the future that shows you how to set up that option. But for now, this is what we needed. We got a developer server that you can access from your Mac, from any Windows machine, or from a Chromebook, and be able to access it from anywhere you have a good, fast internet connection. So that's pretty cool. All right, thanks for watching.